What time is it? It's time for another Every Other Wednesday.
Anyway, welcome everyone as we're starting.
We're live.
Yeah, we're live. We're live.
Oh, we
Good
morning.
Shape up.
Good morning. Welcome, everybody.
Happy Pina Colada Day.
While you're coming,
If you like Pina Colada.
No.
while you're coming in, what's the question, Richard?
So the question that we're going to ask you to answer today is, what's your favorite grocery store, supermarket? Whatever you want to call it, a grocery store, supermarket, whatever. Just what's your favorite grocery store? And remember, and why? Why? Because we disagreed that was going to be the question. No. Why is it your favorite grocery store? Okay. Yeah.
Right.
What's your favorite grocery store and why is it your favorite grocery store? And Sanjay?
And remember, by default, your chat response may go to everyone or it may go just to the panelists and the host. So please click down and make sure it goes to everyone so we can share from everyone's wisdom, including Michael Kerr's.
What?
Everyone, widening and wider
Little
odds.
bit of wisdom.
You've never said I have had wisdom before. This is a first.
You know what? It's Pina Colada Day.
You're feeling good.
So Save-On has better lighting and wider aisles. And Farm Boy, always fresh. You bet you sound like the spokesperson.
Yeah, no kidding. They've learned all the
Right.
Always fresh.
all the slogans. Always fresh.
Well, I'm going to put in. Well, so is the question, what is your favorite one that you normally go to, or what's the favorite one you've ever been to ever in your life?
Well, that's going to be Wegmans because we haven't been
that's
to
going to be
Palmer's.
Wegmans for me.
Palmer's. We haven't been to
Haven't been to
Palmer's.
Palmer's.
Right.
Right, we haven't been to Palmer's. Yeah, so the one that I go to most often is Publix because it's where shopping is a pleasure.
Oh my gosh.
Is that their slogan?
Is
Yeah.
it true?
Yeah, there have been times. Yeah,
Should we get started, guys?
yeah. Let's do.
We should.
Welcome, everybody. I'm going to officially welcome everybody to this edition of Every Other Wednesday. The question is, what's your favorite grocery store and why? Fritz has a whole essay written, if we want to read that.
Yeah.
But
He's given it a great deal of thought, as we know Fritz would.
yeah.
Wegmans, Walmart. Jerry is joining us for the first time this time from Newport Richey, Florida. He has moved. He's relocated just recently. So, Jerry, good to see you there. Thank you for being here.
Congratulations.
How do you feel about Publix, Jerry?
And we haven't seen Stephen Rayfield for a while either. So welcome, Stephen.
Yeah.
In the meantime, let's go around and introduce ourselves for those people who don't know us. And I'm going to go in order that you're on my screen. So, Richard, you're up.
All right. Welcome. Thank you. My name is Richard Haddon. I'm an author and speaker. I wrote Contented Cows Give Better Milk and all the sequels. And I talk about employee engagement, leadership, and recruiting and retention. I live in Jacksonville, Florida. That's where I am today.
Sanjay.
My name is Sanjay Nath. I'm based just outside of Toronto in Oakville, Ontario. I am a professional speaker and author focusing on leadership and performance. Best known by my trademark, a concept called the 10-80-10 principle, which is all about being a strength-based approach to leadership.
Excellent. And Michael.
Welcome, Sanjay and Richard. My name is Michael Kerr. I'm coming to you as I usually am in the beautiful Canadian Rockies in Canmore, Alberta. Today is, by the way, July 10th, 2024. We didn't do our official timestamp, and it's not just July 10th, 2024. It also happens to be, Carol's birthday.
Tomorrow's birthday. Tomorrow is Happy Birthday Carol Day.
Oh, tomorrow is Happy Birthday Carol Day.
Yeah.
You told. Yeah, okay.
Oh, don't move her along any faster. Than she is. But
Okay.
Carol,
It's also don't step on
a
a bee day, kitten day, pina colada day, and teddy bear's picnic day. And I speak
What was
on
that last one? What was the last one?
Teddy bear's picnic day.
That's what I thought you said. Okay.
I love it.
Do you remember that song?
Hey, before we move on from Michael, let me just share with everyone. Everybody who was here 2 weeks ago will remember Danny Spungen, who was our amazing guest host 2 weeks ago, and he sent us a picture today that I'm going to share with you. And it is a picture. Well, you'll see exactly what it is. It is a picture of Danny and his dogs holding a copy of Michael Kerr's new book, Small Moments, Big Outcomes.
You know, there's a joke in there about the dog eating the homework. So I think
totally.
Yeah. And he obviously didn't want to show my book, so that's okay. I understand.
Well, it's right. He just got it in the mail that day, so he was
Got it.
excited. The dog's name, I'm trying to remember. Yogi and Scruffy, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anyway, I'm Jeff Tobe, and I am
Richard hasn't introduced himself.
He
did
started.
so.
Oh, he did. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Am I that
I'll
forgettable?
just be quiet for the rest of the show.
You know, yeah, really out of control today. I'm Jeff Tobe. I am in beautiful Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, professional speaker and author, all in the area of customer experience. Speaking of experiences, I was biting my tongue when we were in the green room because I got to get a hug from one of these three guys this past week. And yeah, okay, it was Sanjay, but and we literally saw each other for 7 minutes. In passing. Long story why, but I was on my way up in Ontario. He took a few minutes, met me at the highway. We hugged, and that was about it. So, but we did say hello.
I saw that on the news. Yeah.
There is an exchange of some money and a package, but
it's true.
Details.
It's true. Yeah, I deliver packages for his kid, and I don't even know what's in them. So, anyway, I'm smuggling them across the border. I'll admit it. Guys, we have an amazing guest, and I don't want to leave her sitting there for too long. But let me introduce Megan Palmer Rivera. I met Megan a few months ago at a Vistage meeting, and I was so impressed from the little bit that I heard about what she does at Palmer's Market in Darien, Connecticut, and just culture-wise. She's the CEO, by the way, of Palmer's Market. The company has been in business for 103 years, older than you, Richard. And Megan is part of the 5th generation of family to own and operate the store. She's a chef by background. Megan never envisioned herself at the helm of a company with 250 employees and growing, but her journey from chef to leader has been the most enlightening, challenging, and rewarding experience of her life. When Megan's not at work, I'll say she can be found gardening, cooking, skiing, and spending time with her daughters, Rachel and Emma, and her husband, Will. Rachel, welcome. Megan, welcome. I guess your kid's not here. So
no, she's not quite ready for that, but thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Listen, so excited to have you and to talk about the culture that you've created and the culture you are creating. I think that I remember you saying that for the past couple of years, you have been completely reinventing your company culture. So I'm going to start with the first question, and that is, I'm going to take you back. You ready? You're 17 years old, maybe, thinking about going to college. I don't know, was your grandfather alive at that point?
He was, yeah.
Okay, so your grandfather and your mom are around the table, and what was the conversation? How did it sound? Do you remember? Was this something you wanted to do, and they tried to dissuade you? What was it?
No, so I grew up working in the store. I grew up working with my mom. She had opened our flower shop and our giftware shop inside of our gourmet supermarket. And my first memories of working at the store are like helping her with the flowers. But when I was 17, I had already started my first cake business. I was obsessed with cooking and baking. My mom's an amazing cook, and my grandmother. And I would watch Food Network and Julia and Jacques, and I loved cooking and baking. And my mom said, you could do this as your job. And back then, that was not like a cool thing to do. Like being a chef was kind of a lowly position. And I decided to graduate early from high school to go to the Culinary Institute of America. And when I announced that I was going to culinary school, our guidance counselor and a mentor or teacher of mine told me I was making a massive mistake. I was throwing my life away. I was too smart to go to culinary school. Yeah. It was horrible. But my parents were super, super supportive. They're like, follow your dreams. You spend too much of your life working not to love what you do. And you are super passionate about this and you'll be successful. So I went off to first culinary school and then later pastry school.
What'd your grandfather think?
He was super supportive as well. I feel like the whole family was really supportive. Yeah. And when I came back to work at the store, my grandfather was, when I opened the bakery when I was 21. And my grandfather was like my assistant. I've got a great picture of him and I working together in the bakery. He actually was already sick by then. He had cancer. And he would come in there and help me roll out pie shells and do whatever needed to get done. So it was really amazing.
I can clarify. You said you were 21. You were running your own pastry shop, was that a subset of the supermarket or a completely separate entity?
So I opened it inside of the supermarket. So most supermarkets don't make it, they just bake it. So they bring in like pre-fabbed stuff and they just bake it off there and like label it as their own. And I had this dream, and that's what we had before I brought the Palmer's Bakery. And I wanted to put in this Parisian style bakery. And while I was at pastry school, I was designing what it would look like with the menu, and I drew the logo, and I presented it to my family and said, hey, I want to open up a bakery inside of our market. And they were like, okay. So I did.
So there's such a thing as pastry school.
Yeah,
that's amazing. So does that help? I didn't go to pastry school. Does this explain why my pastries are not really all that good? Yours are?
I didn't go to pastry school, but I don't mind eating them at all. I'm very
excited. Exactly. We're actually gonna give Megan our physical addresses so she can send us samples.
I'll use some samples.
I'm sure they'll go great across the border.
And Mike's sending pina coladas too, so it's gonna work out real well.
Perfect. So Megan, you sent us some newsletters that I don't know if they're newsletters or just communiques that you send out to your people. And something struck me. You were mentioning, I think, 4, maybe 5 employees. And amongst the 4 or 5 of them, they had 195 years of experience. I mean, crazy. People stay at Palmer's Market. Why?
What is it? Yeah.
Why?
It's a great place to work. So we have 2 employees, Jean and Mary Lou. They've been with us for 56 years each.
Oh my God.
Like,
wow.
It's crazy, right? They've devoted their entire lives to us, and so many more. 40, like every year we have these amazing milestones. We've been in business for 103 years, 5 generations of family. Our family has always just taken care of our staff. We've treated them like family. And that's really just like the heart of it, right? We love them.
Wow.
So, and they love us in turn. It's amazing.
So can you give us a few tangibles? Like what does that actually mean for you?
What does that look
to
like?
say you treat them like family?
Yeah, like you hit them like less hard, or you hit them harder? Like,
So I think that looks different.
I hope they're not treated the way my family was growing up.
Yeah, families can be hard sometimes, but I think the way that we treated employees historically is different than what we're doing right now with the culture. I think that there's just been such a culture shift, and what employees were looking for 50 years ago is a little bit different than what we've kind of transitioned to in the past, 5 to 10 years. So and that's, I think, really where the revolution came in for me getting involved. So I started, I feel like it makes sense if I tell you the story kind of in order. I started if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
So I started the bakery, then I took over the kitchen, and started our catering company, started our Gourmet to Go business, and I was managing this amazing team. And a bunch of things happened that kind of put our company culture into kind of a weird space. So my grandfather was the head of our company. He was just absolutely beloved. He was this little like 5'2" Italian guy. He would go into the dish pit and like bump the dishwasher over and help her wash dishes. He would like grab the mop and help clean the floor. We never really had formal titles, so it wasn't like CEO, but he was like our mascot, our icon. And when he died, our family went into turmoil. It was also the same time he died, a Whole Foods opened up like half a mile down the street, and we hit the global recession. So lots of things were happening, and it caused a lot of just like tension in our family with just restructuring, and inside of our company, we weren't doing as well. So a lot of kind of chaos started happening. And the family had brought in an outside manager to try to, help lead the store and lead the team. And meanwhile, I'm just in my culinary world. I'm running my catering, my bakery, the prepared foods in store, and I'm so happy. I have no interest in being involved in the grocery store. I was like, I'm a chef. I don't know anything about running this company. And we bring in a really, really talented manager. He'd worked at a bunch of Whole Foods and Citarella, a bunch of really high-end places. And he came in and he was failing. And at this time, I'd really gotten close to Al Palmer, who's Gen 3, and he would come sit in my office. And every time he sat down, I would tell him all the things I thought should be done in the company. Like, oh, we should be doing this, we should be doing that. And he says, well, maybe you should run the company. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm running my catering business and I'm quite happy. And a year goes by, and the manager we'd hired was trying to fix the culture, trying to implement some structure and procedures, and he just couldn't get buy-in from the team. And I think that anybody who's been in a company trying to make change, people don't like change at all. And it's very hard if he didn't have unanimous support from our family, because we didn't at that point, we didn't have a vision statement, we didn't have core values, we didn't have a lot of corporate structure. So everything he tried to implement just kind of failed. And after a year of him failing and me watching, I finally was like, maybe I should do this. I'd started learning more about leadership, and I really just found it really interesting. And so I took over as managing director and took on this huge task of reuniting this team that had been in flux for a number of years, which was terrifying and extremely lonely. It was really, really hard. And it was like pushing a boulder uphill, I feel like. And I really did it like one person at a time. I feel like I like recruited one person and got them to believe in it, and they found 2 more people to believe in it. And it took us a number of years, but once it kind of all coalesced on our 100th anniversary, and the whole team like came together under like one leader with one vision. We defined our values, and it was just when it finally came together, it was just like magic. So it's been.
And is that past manager now in just cleaning the floors, or?
No,
No.
we parted ways with him, and then I took over that seat.
So, Megan, can you elaborate on it's something we haven't talked about much, but it's so important, and I hear it a lot. You said it was very lonely. It's we all know the expression, it's lonely at the top. Can you tell us a little more about that, if you will?
Yeah, for sure. I think that first of all, especially when it comes to culture, I think that when you have this idea that you want to implement, it's really hard when other people don't. In addition, you feel like you're like, I was trying to make the best place to work, right? That was my goal. I want Palmer's to be the best place to work. And I was shocked when people weren't instantly like, yay, let's all do this together. I remember my first couple managers meetings, and it was just like crickets. I mean, just everybody arms crossed, just, I don't know about this. And what I've realized is that people are just really scared of change, right? They don't like the unknown. They don't know where you're taking them. And I think that's something that I've learned as a manager, is that when we're going through a time of change, the amount of time I need to spend telling people where we're going. I'm going to take you through this dark forest, but we're going to stay on the path, and I've got you, and I'm going to keep you safe. And these are the challenges we're going to encounter along the way. And it took us a couple iterations to get stuff right, and getting people to be resilient through that is very, very hard. We tried this program. I wanted to put a recognition program in place. I think that recognizing staff is one of the most important things that we need to do. Recognizing them, for who they are, but also what they bring to the company and their hard work. And we started it off as wow bucks, and it just failed epically. And we were trying to like give people something that they could use and redeem at our register. Like, you did this amazing thing, here's a wow buck. It was really, really complicated. And it actually took us 2 more revisions over the course of like 2 years to get a program that stuck. And now we have our Nominate an All-Star program, and it's fantastic, and it's kind of automated, and it works great. It ties into our annual awards at the end of the year, but it took us a long time to get there. And I think that that's what the part that's like lonely is, like trying and failing and people being like, told you so, right?
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
I think part of that, what you're talking about is as a leader, is being vulnerable, that, what, we're going to try this, it may not work, but as long as they kind of buy into the vision, which is about communication, so all those things wrapped up there, I can imagine the challenge. You talk a lot about love, which we mentioned already at Palmer's. I know that your people love their customers and love working there, but you have these things called Team Palmer's events. Is that right? Tell us about those. Mike's going to love those because he loves events and fun things.
Yeah. So Team Palmer's is like our internal brand, and we've got all sorts of like fun Team Palmer's swag. We run an event. We have a culture club. They run an event every single month. Some of my favorites are our grocery cart relay. So our team can sign up. It's teams of 6. They run through our grocery store relay style. They have to, each runner has to collect 4 items and then complete a challenge. And the team to get through the register and bag all their groceries and run through the finish line, the fastest wins. But this past year, we kind of upped the ante and we added challenges in, and we added a theme. So this past year was cereal themed. So they had to come up with a cereal themed name. We had like the Lucky Charms, the serial killers. They have to decorate their cart. They get dressed up. Our team takes this very seriously. And then they had to do the challenges were a cereal blind taste test, a cereal stacking challenge, cereal Price is Right, and cereal trivia.
So wait.
It's like,
this is after hours, right? This isn't during.
This is after hours. Yeah, we shut down the store early and they like race through the aisles. It's awesome. We share it out with our customers. I think we're actually going to add a customer team in this year because our customers are like, they're like, I know this store better than anybody. So
that's an awesome idea. I love that.
I got another idea.
I think
how
you should
about team every other Wednesday, and we'll come to Darien and we'll be part of the challenge. So.
And I think you should do it while the store is open. That'll be really challenging and fun.
Exactly.
Dangerous.
Do you have video footage of this?
We do. I can send it to you. We have a really cute, not of
is it on your website?
Is it on your website? Is what I was getting at. Yeah.
I don't think it is. I think we need to put more of our Team Palmer stuff up there. But another one of my favorite events is our Thankfulness Thanksgiving. And I will tell you, the first year I did this, I almost backed out because I was feeling just incredibly vulnerable. I'm like, I don't think I should do this. And I like went in the bathroom and I was like, no, you got this. I went into every single department and made them do a thankfulness circle. And we've got 150 employees at Palmer's, and we went in and we stood in a circle and we went around and told the person to our left what we were grateful for about them. And then our kitchen and bakery do this beautiful Thanksgiving dinner, and we all are lunch and we all come down and eat. And the first time there was some teams who instantly were like thanking and crying and hugging, and there was other teams that were uncomfortable, right? Like they weren't used to doing it. By year 2 though, everybody was like all about it. It's one of our favorite team events. It's really a magical moment. What else do we do? Our peer awards is another signature event we do. So we do this at the end of the year, and it's a red carpet event. The staff gets all dressed up and we give out awards for each of our core values. And we have like a sit down dinner, and it's just a beautiful night where everyone just gets to celebrate each other.
Oh, nice. Was it you that told me about bring your dog to work? Or no, not a grocery
No, we don't.
store.
We're food, so we can't really do animals. But
You're thinking of Danny, Tom.
Yeah.
You're thinking of Danny.
So
exactly.
I get this sense, Megan, that you kind of, you get into a place and then you take it over, right? I'm just going to run my little bakery and I'll take over the whole thing. So I'm a little concerned that when you take over every other Wednesday,
No.
please rescue me. No, all seriousness.
Megan, Cindy has a message for you in the chat. It says drive-in movie this weekend.
Oh, yes, that's my mom. We do. We have a movie we're doing an outdoor movie for our staff this week. We literally have so many events. We just did the first ever share fair, and we asked all of our team members to bring in something that they didn't need, and we created this little store. And then anybody who wanted to take something could get something. And we had so much cool stuff like dropped off, and people were able to take home like 3 or 4 items. It was amazing.
Guys,
what did you call that?
My house
Megan,
and got
what did you
everything
call
I
that?
don't need.
We called it Share Fair.
Share fair. That's awesome.
Share Fair.
So
yeah, it was really cool.
What was the tipping point, Megan? Because you said initially you had your management meetings, you had the arms crossed and you can't fix me, you can't make me happy. But obviously that doesn't sound like, if you have, your cry fest at Thanksgiving, people have bought into it. What was the tipping point? When did you kind of go, oh?
And follow-up question, Sanjay, did it involve pastries for everyone?
I won him over with donuts.
Yes.
So I think it was getting to that threshold. There was more people that believed than didn't. And how did we get there? At the beginning, I was the only person recruiting, and it was me like going out to the manager. And listen, we had to get rid of some people along the way. I will say that there are some people who just will dig in their feet and who don't align with your values that have to go. I think especially people who are like high performers that don't fit into the culture are like exceptionally toxic to your workplace, that we had to learn how to identify and move along very quickly.
And
so
if I can just say, it takes a lot of courage to identify that and then act on it.
They are the hardest people to fire because they're usually really good performers. So that was hard, and that was a learning lesson for me. I definitely made some mistakes many, many mistakes. I'll make more. So that was part of it, was getting rid of the really loud naysayers, I think. And then winning over the people who were on the skeptical side. When we created our leadership team, I think that was when I passed the torches to other people, and then they went out and recruited, on the behalf of Team Palmer's, and it wasn't just me. So Anthony Lombados, he is a speaker at a catering, Cater Source, which is a conference that we go to for catering. He's a speaker, and he talks specifically about heart leadership in the hospitality industry. And he has been a mentor to me and started this like monthly leadership program that we joined. And it resulted in the creation of our leadership team, where I sat down with our team once a month for an hour just to talk about leadership. And I really think that was the tipping point. When we set aside an hour every month just to focus on our culture, like that's when we got all of the amazing results, because culture takes so much work. And originally it was just me doing all the work. And when I started delegating that work out and we all started working on it together, that's when it really came together. And that's when I didn't feel alone anymore. And it was like we were creating this masterpiece together. So
I love it. And I gotta say, guys, I think it's the first time we've had the guest host mother in the audience. So I'm gonna ask Cindy a question, and she can put it in the
she's
chat.
awesome.
I want to know if she had a master plan for you to be where you are today, and just or was it a surprise to her? So
and Cindy, while you're typing, give us some good dirt. Embarrassing stories, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you. You mentioned the peer awards or peer, right? Peer awards, but peer is an acronym, right? It stands for something, and it has to do with your values. So if you can tell us what it stands for, and how do you impress those values amongst your people, upon your people?
Yeah, I think that's a really hard challenge for leaders, is how do your core values not just become that thing that's in your handbook and then you have them printed on your wall, right? How do we make people care about them and live them? So our values, so it's PIER is peer. So passion, love what you do. So we want we hire for this. We want employees who are passionate, who want to work at Palmer's. If you don't want to work here, we don't want you to work here either. And we want you to bring that joy to work every single day. And we want you to share that with the people around you. And we want you to share that with our customers. And I think we've all worked on a team where there's just like that one really sour person. And it's amazing how toxic that is. So we want to make sure we don't have any of those people. We want to make sure we have everybody working together and like just having fun, like joyful to be here. So passion. Our second value is innovation. And so our core values are for our team, but they're also our guiding principles for us as owners. That was important to me. Legacy. I'm running a business that's been in business for 100 years. I want to make sure that we're defining what's important to us and make sure that that's what we're following 50 years from now, when I pass the reins. No, I probably won't be working that long, but when I pass the reins off to the next generation, I want to make sure that our values are clear. So innovation is the fact that we do need to make sure our store continues to innovate. A lot of family-owned grocery stores, at least in our area, have gone out. And I think that's because they didn't continue to reinvest in their stores. The stores got old. They also didn't continue to bring in cool new products and stay up with trends. That's important. So we continuously are educating our team, both as leaders and then also sending them to cool food shows, learning more about, our cake decorators to cake decorating classes, whatever it might be. We want them to be learning whatever's cool and new and trendy in the industry. And then also internally, we part of the leadership group I mentioned earlier that we're part of, the group is called MIBE, Make It Better Every Day. And that is something that we've kind of taken on from them. We want to have a MIBE mentality, that make it better every day mentality. And that's like on ourselves and making Palmer's a great place to work and a great place to shop. Our third is excellence. If it's not excellent, it shouldn't be a Palmer's. That's kind of the slogan. We want awesome food and we want awesome customer service, and then responsibility. And this is, we all are so grateful for the family members that came before us, the staff members that came before us, the community that supported us. And we want to make sure that we make decisions that will take care of them in the future. So taking care of our staff, taking care of our community, and taking care of our customers.
How involved are you with the hiring process? Because obviously bringing in the right team is so important. And 250, you're on the cusp. Like in theory, you could be involved, but you don't necessarily, you're kind of getting too big. So where do you fit in that?
So I used to be involved in like all of the hiring. I'm not only for like department manager level and above am I involved. But we do, a pretty rigorous test. Cindy, my mom, she likes the walking test. Like if they can't keep up when you're like trucking through the store and they're like way behind you, like it's a good test. I
That's
also
brilliant. Yeah.
It's true though. Like, right, if they can't even like keep up on an interview, probably not going to be able to keep up with the job. We're on our feet all day at Palmer's. It's a physical.
Well, and plus they won't be able to do that race.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Very well. So
You're recruiting
you
team
want
members
those folks on your
constantly.
team.
We also like to know, like, what are you passionate about, right? Like, if they're passionate about something, then we can make them passionate about Palmer's. But if they can't like answer basic questions about like, tell me what you love, and they're like, don't maybe you shouldn't work here.
Yeah.
So we're usually hiring for personality, and then we can train them how to do the job, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Carol has asked the question, Megan, do you still run the bakery?
don't.
Observing that, so often somebody who's really good at something, then they go into a higher position and now they're not doing that, like a doctor who becomes an administrator. And Cindy answered it a little bit. What?
No, Cindy basically said that she had no plans for Megan. She didn't think she could do it.
Oh, I see. Is that what? Okay.
And it was a surprise to the entire family.
She didn't think she'd amount to anything.
Exactly.
It's all coming out.
In fact, your mother had a chat with your guidance counselor and your teacher. It was actually her words.
Before your guidance counselor talked to her. No, but I'm assuming you do not run the bakery anymore.
I don't know. No.
Okay, but you have somebody, you have a very capable person who has taken over.
Do you miss it?
Do I miss it? So I loved making food for people. So both in my pastry chef role and then as our executive chef, which I took over after I opened the bakery, that's what I lived for. I really was focused on the customer, making that beautiful tart or that wedding cake or doing the catering for someone's, whatever special event, and seeing their faces and getting those emails back and the pictures. Like that's what I lived for, was making our customers happy. And I think that's why I never wanted to move into managing the grocery store. I thought it would strip away all my passion because that's what I had always loved. And I had no idea how rewarding it would be. And my rewards are different now. It's when our staff comes to me and says, like, I just bought my first house, right? Like that's amazing when we're able
Especially
to promote
today,
people
yeah.
from within. Melissa, who she is our director of sales and operations for our catering company. She started as a part-time cake decorator working for us. She was working in her running her family's business. And she just like every year we kind of promote her into a new position. And there's so many examples of that, of people who've started off in lower levels and we've been able to move them up. And that's so gratifying.
It's,
I will say that I'd be intimidated to be the manager of baking of the bakery with you around. So
I think that's so interesting that you said that, that the baking was a total passion of yours, and you were kind of surprised that you're able to transform that passion into a different form. But at the same time, like 30 seconds ago, you said, when we're interviewing, we want to know if someone's passionate, because if they're passionate about one thing, we can translate it to another. So it's funny that you didn't recognize it with yourself, but you recognize it and foster it in other people.
It's attitude, right? So Megan, a lot of the people who are listening to us, are not CEOs, they're not, many people are not even on the senior executive team, but they have a team of some kind. Is there something you could tell people that, tomorrow they should start doing for their teams that would encourage more engagement? And I think that's what it comes down to. The hair on the neck of Richard, on the back of Richard's neck just stood up because that's his baby. But any advice to those people?
I think recognition is a great place to start. For the first, I still do it. So I write handwritten anniversary cards. At the beginning, I did it for everybody, and then it was starting to get a little out of control. My hand was like carpal tunnel, but I do it for all of our milestone anniversaries, acknowledging people's birthdays, just finding opportunities to thank them for their hard work. Our Nominate an All-Star program is customers, employees, and managers can nominate. So sometimes it's so fun to hand them out. They get printed on Thursdays, and on Fridays we walk around and hand them out, and be able to walk up to the dishwasher and say, hey, somebody else in this kitchen wanted to say thank you to you because they think you do just the best job ever washing dishes. Or they thank each other for all of the most like random things. So I think putting in place some sort of consistent recognition program, not just for you to recognize your staff, but for them to recognize each other is so powerful. We can't always, there's not always a budget to pay people more money. And oftentimes that's not even what makes people happy, right? They want to feel good about the work they do. They want to be thanked for it. They want to be seen. So I think that recognition is probably the first place to start, and then adding fun. And if you can bring your team some like moments of joy, and I think that brings them together, right? They say like, if you have two friends at work, you're just like happier in your overall life. I can't remember what the exact stats on that are. But allowing them to make connections with other people on the team and find camaraderie amongst themselves is huge.
So you just made Michael very happy too.
Oh, yeah. Now the hairs on the back of his
exactly.
standing out, and the ones on top of his head too, I think.
Yeah, evidently.
So
Yes.
Megan, we have several people who are asking about the going back to the PEER acronym.
Yeah.
It's PEER, not pies, right? But I did note
PIER, yeah.
but the way you spell PEER starts with pie, and that's really all I need to know. It starts with pie. So it's passion, innovation, excellence, and responsibility. Is that right? Okay, great.
Love that. Yeah. So I was going to ask you. Of course, we're winding down here, and actually, we've got a little bit more time. But are you grooming Rachel and Emma for the job? Is that?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, they do like to come to the store, but they mostly just walk around and eat. They're like, we're working. Are you paying us? I'm like, all you've done is eat the whole time you've been here.
They're doing quality assurance. They're doing product testing.
You're right.
Yeah.
So I grew up in retail and not in food business. And I think that even today, I took away a lot of what am I trying to think of morals, or a lot of lessons from the retail business versus a lot of other businesses. Can you think of any that you would share with the audience, that kind of lessons to keep in mind from retail?
Specifically from just like from working in retail, you mean?
Yeah. We don't typically have a retail audience, so
it's so funny because I've never really like worked in retail. I worked behind the scenes in the culinary, and now I really manage the whole thing. Like I'm not my other members of my family are really the ones who are on the sales floor. Who my mom, my brother, my cousins who are involved in the business, they are on the sales floor engaging with our customers, and I've always kind of been like behind the scenes. So
okay, there's another question. Then we'll go. I'll let you off the hook on that one. And it's working with family is what I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
What are the challenges that you find? What are the joys, the disappointments?
Challenges.
Yeah.
Does it fall under criminal law, or is it family law?
So family is obviously really, really hard. And I think, my grandfather's generation, they prioritized, it was my grandfather and his two brothers, and they prioritized the family. They wanted to keep that bond. But as, no founder or second gen, I don't think they ever think like what will happen to generation 5 or 6. And as we start to not be as closely related, right? And that becomes hard. We haven't necessarily spent as much time together. We don't have those close knit of relationships. I think that it is really hard. I think it always comes to mind like clear is kind. Brene Brown says that, like clarity in terms of expectations of everyone's job and what their responsibility is and roles. And I think family businesses get into some trouble with that, because early in the business, we don't usually do a lot of that stuff, right? We don't have job descriptions, and we don't have formal board of directors, and we don't have meetings, and we're kind of more loose. And as the company starts to grow, that's really important. And then communication, right? So clarity and communication, I think, are the two like foundational keys to family business and getting along.
How about looking in your crystal ball? What's some of the big changes that you're looking to make?
So we are looking to do some expansion, and I'm not 100% sure what that looks like right now. I know I don't want to grow for me. I'm quite happy, and I have two beautiful kids at home, but as a leader, my job is I love our team, right? And if I want to keep my team, I need to continue to provide them with opportunities. And I also love our customers. That's the other part of my job. And our customers, many of them have to, we only have one location. And we hear a lot, I wish you had a Palmer's in my town. And we want to be, and the traffic around us is getting just like worse and worse. And people don't even just like the next town over, it can take you 35 minutes to get here. And so, yeah, so I think that some expansion is in our future, and I'm not 100% sure what that looks like. I've got a couple of ideas going.
But Pittsburgh is a really hot area. I mean, it's like where everybody
Not
wants
that
to
far.
be.
No, you have to come to
Canmore.
Canada.
Just
Canada.
We need you in Canada.
Canmore's just down the street.
Not a question here so much as a statement, Megan. I just love that you're not afraid to use the word love. I think some senior leaders are afraid of that word. And it's so nice to hear you say you love your employees, you love your customers.
Well, I think if you say that they're family, but you can't say the word love, then are they family? I don't know. I mean,
well, it depends on the family.
Well, Megan, I'm curious because I mean, obviously, it's not just in the last few years that yours has become a great place to work, because you do have people who've been there 56 years and 40 and so forth. So did something change, or was it that you changed in response to how society changed and culture changed and what your employees needed? And was there a time in there when it wasn't such a great place to work?
so I think that it always, like Palmer's, as we have so many devoted, loyal employees who've worked for us, I think it always has been a great place to work. I think there was a period of years where we kind of started to struggle. And I think it's when we lost, first of all, I think culture is hard when the business isn't doing well. I think that's when like times get a little hard leading the team through that. And then I think with the lack of, we didn't have one person, after my grandfather passed, no one was named CEO of the company to replace that. And my mom and Greg are both amazing, and they both have jumped so much and done so much for our business, but there wasn't one clear leader. And I think we didn't necessarily at that point have a clear direction that we were going in. And I think that, again, like clarity, team wants to know who they report to and what the expectations are. And I think also we were growing. So now the team is larger, and you just get to a point where you need to have some more structure and I think what it's also about the same time when employees' expectations from the companies that they work for is starting to change. So I think it was a kind of a culmination of a lot of things that came together for us to need to make a change.
Well, and I think it was fortuitous in this case of your company that as you became the leader, that culture became important to you, because there are a lot of leaders for whom culture is not that big a deal, and it shows. But it really was a big deal for you. And so you focused a lot of your efforts on creating that culture in that really superlative place to work.
So sorry, I have to slip away early, everyone.
Oh,
thank you, Megan, for your passion, your brilliance. I know our gang of followers got so much value from you.
You were gonna sneak away quietly. What happened?
I know. I had to say goodbye. I didn't want to just disappear. I feel like I'm cheating on you. I'm actually sliding over to another live podcast for an interview.
Okay. All right. Be that way. See you in 2 weeks, Michael. Bye. Don't anybody else leave. Everybody else stay.
Don't
we
leave.
got a whole 2.5 minutes. Go ahead, Michael. Leave.
We may have a mass exodus because he's gone. We don't know.
I know. Oh, look,
we should all leave early on one thing and see how many people leave.
We'll do some testing on that.
Guarantee everybody will stay if I go. So
you know what? Right off the bat, you said something really I thought was very intriguing too, Megan. You said that what culture looked like 50 years ago is very different than now, and it has to be an evolution. It's same thing with the products. Like you're saying, you got to be innovative. You got to
Sanjay, how would you know that? Sanjay, how would you know that?
To be innovative or to be on?
No, about 50 years ago.
Oh, I'd say, hey, I'm 50. Back off. I don't have a lot of memories from 50 years ago. Anyway, but it shows, because to me that's one of the most effective parts of a leader is you have to be mobile and you have to be agile and you have to be willing to adapt and kind of go, hey, be vulnerable and go, oops, I tried this, screwed up. We're taking a new angle. And it sounds like that's what you're doing, and that's why it seems to be working. Just to close the loop too on Jeff's comment, you were asking about retail. I don't know if retail is different from any other business. And I think every business has the same objective and the same lessons, which is have a great product, service the hell out of your customers, and they come back and reward people for doing so. I mean, you can't do that unless you've got a bunch of people who work there who are really into it. Yeah.
You know, it's funny you say that because my dad would have said to you in response to that, Sanjay, that he didn't necessarily have a great product. And so it was everything else you did that brought the
To make up
customer
for it.
back. Yeah, well, it's true. And he treated his
Is that
employees
is
incredibly
that
well.
true of every other Wednesday as well?
I guess you're right. We don't have a great product, but people come back anyway. So,
Yeah.
so
Speaking of coming back, when's the next time that's going to happen?
the next time is
June
when?
24th,
You know,
July
right?
24th.
July 24th.
Yes, July 24th. But wait, let's thank Megan first. Like, we didn't get it
Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely.
Megan, thank you. Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much
having me.
for spending the
This has
time.
been great. And again, I know my clock says it's been 45 minutes, but my brain says it's been about 12.
Exactly.
That's what it feels
Yeah.
like to me too.
If you're
That's
willing, we'd
Richard's.
love to have you back just to
I
check
would
in,
love-
just to check in on what's going on at Palmer's
Yeah.
and your 23 locations.
And you know what we could do is we could try to, what's the word I'm looking for? Lobby. We could try to lobby you as to where your expansion could be. We
That's
could,
right. Just
put little
let us know.
presentations.
So
like
if
Dragon's
There you
Den,
go.
Shark
That's
Tank.
the next challenge is how do we scale it, right? Like that's what I'm thinking about a lot
Exactly.
right now.
Well, and for everybody listening, if you're in Darien, anywhere near Darien, Connecticut, drop in, say hi to Megan and her wonderful staff and what sounds like a great selection of food. We forgot to mention
Yeah.
that too.
You know, we didn't even talk about the products.
Exactly. Thank you for being here. Thank you to Cindy for
Thank you.
joining
It's
us.
been great. Oh, wow. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it.
Richard, when will we see everybody?
On July the 24th.
No. That's your
We've already covered that. Oh, we're ready to sign off. So look, thanks everyone. We'll see you every other Wednesday.
That's it.
Thank you, folks.
guys.
Thanks, Megan.
Thanks
Bye.
so much. Bye, guys.
Thanks.